right. It's good to be here again. Hope you guys enjoyed our past episodes of Coffee Break. We always look forward to putting out new ones and coming up with topics that you guys might like to hear.
Yeah, it's nice to take a break. You know?
Yeah, and there is preparation that goes into these.
We're trying. We're learning.
Yeah, we have lists that we sort of sort through and figure out what's more interesting to talk about. But
and if any of our listeners have suggestions or requests of what they want us to talk about, I think we're open to that.
Totally
All
open
of
to
our
that.
many listeners.
We have, this is on fire. This is totally on fire. I was at a cocktail party last night and there were like 20 other people that didn't know we had this podcast, and now they're going to follow us. So
Wow, you're just networking at the cocktail party?
Precisely.
Look at you.
That is exactly what I was doing. So this is October 24th. Your hosts, of course, are Mary and Jeff, and we decided that we were going to talk about things that have affected our outlook on life, sayings, credos, proverbs, anything that you hear that resonates with you and might make you say, wow, I really identify with that, and it helps direct you. But we'll start off with a Turkish proverb, and this is especially, you'll read into this because it's election time. But don't. I'm just saying it's...
You're just sharing a good quote.
It's a good quote. It's a Turkish proverb, and the proverb goes, when a clown moves into the palace, he doesn't become a king, but the palace becomes a circus. And when I heard that, I said, why isn't that true? You can't change the spots on a leopard. Whoever you are, the friends that you identify with, those things stay with you, and you have to be true to yourself. So whoever is going to be in the palace is going to be true to him or herself, and that's what we're going to get. So it made me think and go, it's so important. Our decisions are so important in who we're going to be voting for in a few weeks. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Any comments? Not going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean it's an important saying. I agree with it, and you know.
Okay, so we'll move on before we alienate everybody. And
we're coming in strong from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have another proverb, which is an African proverb. And it states, until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. And that...
I love that one.
It just captures how, biased we are towards how we look at things. Mm-hmm. And unless you have the other side, of course the lion can't provide its side, but unless you have that side, every story is going to glorify what the hunter says because he can write.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something I try to remind myself when I'm reading anything. And it's a hard thing to remember because, you know, you get sucked into somebody's perspective without thinking of the full picture. And it's easier and easier to do, especially with everything you're reading from online or, you know, you're getting bombarded from different places and different perspectives, but they can be very singular.
Do you have a type of book? Do you do detective novels as a...
I do love a good mystery and a good detective story.
Saunders, is that the author?
Oh, no, he doesn't do mystery. Oh, I like the Ton of French mystery.
Oh, right.
I got you into those books.
Right, I have that.
Or maybe I didn't.
No, you did. You did. No, I like adventure, so before I picked up your book, I had been finishing up a book called Himalaya, And I always thought the Himalayas, like plural, but it's not. You don't say the Himalayas, it's the Himalaya.
That's a good fact.
Who would know that?
Yeah.
So books that talk about why people are drawn to a mountain, and my wife can't possibly figure out why somebody would want to be cold and up high.
Yeah,
It,
that's fair.
I mean, even if you're standing on the top of the mountain, you got a good view, you're thinking, really, did I just put my life on the line for this?
Well, I'm here now.
Yeah, precisely, which is
But
why
it's a beautiful thing.
which is why you didn't want to go to Restaurant Depot, and I was. And there's a side story.
I mean, I would go to Restaurant Depot. I never said I would, but then, so yeah, I mean, tell the.
Well, the story
backstory
behind
here.
the backstory as we meander our way through these weird things that we decided to talk about today was
It's quotes interspersed with Jeff being mad at me about something.
Well, no, I'm never mad at you. That's impossible. I'm
Okay.
Sometimes
All right. Tell them what happened.
hugely disappointed, but not mad. And I love Restaurant Depot because it's like a Costco for people that are in the food business. And we were throwing a block party, and I needed to go there and get 5,000 hot dogs. And you can go to Restaurant Depot and get heating trays and chafing dishes and platters and forks and spoons of any size. If you need a big pot to cook lobsters in, 500 gallons, that's where you go. And we became members of that, so you could go in, like Costco, you need to present your card. And I invited Mary to go with us to Restaurant Depot so she could see how knives, forks, all the things that you might want in your kitchen that you don't have, but you can get it there.
And I said, yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
I'm game. I've never been.
Yeah, but then you didn't go
Because the timing didn't work out, because you wanted to go when we just got back from
Oh, that's true.
our
Right.
2-month hiatus from the office, and now we're back in our beautiful,
Office.
not flooded office. Not
Right.
flooded for now.
And yeah, it would have been the wrong time.
And so, yeah, I would have just been like, hey guys, bye guys.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. But I didn't go that day. But I went another
You didn't
day.
go at all?
No.
Oh, but you went before the party.
I went before the party, and as I'm walking around this huge place, and I'm realizing it's really not that great.
Oh,
and,
no.
And that it's okay, but if I had drawn you there because it's so great,
Oh,
you
no,
would have
I-
looked at me and gone,
Disappointed?
you would have been.
Oh, do I still want to go then?
Maybe just for a little trip,
I
but
guess to see it for myself.
yeah, just so you have that perspective.
Yeah.
So you have that.
In case I need, fancy glass bottles of ketchup.
Yes,
Yeah.
boxes of ketchup, but also sauerkraut. You never know, or chili. They have it all in jars. It's just an amazing place. If you own a restaurant, you got to go to Restaurant Depot, which is why they're so hugely successful. So
But if I can share a quote, you were talking about the mountain and being on top of the mountain, and it's a beautiful thing. But I think it sort of connects with this quote that I read in this New York Times article from the editor of the Modern Love column. I don't know if you've ever read that, but he has
Yes.
edited thousands of love stories that people send in. And so
Yes.
he wrote this article just about his experience with that, because it's been so many at this point. And there was one that stuck with me that was about how this one woman finds solace in understanding that it's not flowers that are beautiful and fleeting. They're beautiful because they are fleeting. Like she was talking about how a boyfriend gave her flowers or somebody gave her flowers.
Yeah.
And then, as she puts it, how startlingly beautiful impermanence can be. And that really stuck with me. And I feel like that kind of connects to the mountain thing, because you're only up here at this moment. You're never going to have this again. And that's kind of why it's so special.
yes, and it also validates the humanness of wanting to learn, explore, challenge yourself, regardless of what the risks might be.
Right,
So, but my wife would rather go for intellectual risks. Let's try
To each
this.
their own, yeah.
Yeah, teach than putting on a marmot down jacket and climbing 29,000 feet.
Right, because I guess that's what's important to you when you realize that something is impermanent. Which
So,
nothing really
but I
is.
like that. Actually, this could lead to another podcast because the New York Times captures these little essays or encourages people to write essays about what has affected them in the world of love and accomplishment. And I have kept a few of them, and so we won't do it now, but this will lead to kind of an overview of how people are touched by love and how it changes their changes their life for everybody if you're in love.
Yeah, for fans of our rom-com episode, they might enjoy
Oh
it.
God, you probably want us to do that again, and, another version of that.
Yeah.
So I had something, a quote from Leonardo da Vinci, who said, "Man is a microcosm of the universe, and the universe is vast." And I've been listening to a doctor named Zach Bush, and he tries to tell us that.
What's he a doctor of?
In physics. He's not a doctor of like medicine,
Okay.
but
That makes sense.
he's well versed in so much. He says within each of us lies an energetic blueprint, a force that shapes our being from the very first cell to the person that we are today. And that in itself is too big a thing to tackle in a podcast, but I will distill something that'll make you guys think. This will be the golden moment of this podcast. I'm listening
No
to
pressure.
this. No pressure. No, I got it. I got this nailed.
All right.
Because he's talking to a guy named Jay Shetty, and he's saying, look, as a doctor that understands biology, when cells, you've got one cell, and then when that begins to divide, just like any cancer cell, it starts to divide. However, with a human embryo at about division number 150, there is a distinction happening where there is a cell that will become part of the heart, a cell that will become part of the kidney, a neurological cell, a brain cell, and those cells start to migrate almost in a three-dimensional map where they start gathering with each of these divisions to become a full heart, a full brain, full leg, full kidney. And he says, in looking within the cell in biology, you don't find that map. Nowhere is that three-dimensional map discoverable. It's outside of the cell. So all of a sudden, what's outside of the cell means it's no longer biology, it becomes physics. It becomes the world of electromagnetism. It's out there in the ether. And nobody, no biologist, no doctor can figure out how this map is presented to a human embryo to become what it is becoming during that gestation period of 9 months. How does a brain cell get thrown into the brain and connected to all the other cells? Where is that? Where can we look at that blueprint? And it really has it sort of elevated the uniqueness and the glory of a human being. So to him, I'm going
Or,
into...
I mean, any animal, really, too.
Any animal.
Yeah.
Any animal.
Yeah.
Just
We're just animals, too.
Yes, I kind of think because we have a consciousness that otherwise what's the point if you don't have a consciousness? And as much as the universe is vast, nobody has found any other life, let alone life that is curious about how the world got here.
Right.
So I think I always like to go to divinity. I somehow think even though no one can prove it, I somehow think there is a force that made this happen, where we are who we are. It's a force.
I could see that. I mean, I think I'm more. I don't say that that's not possible, but I say that it could be, and so could many other things.
Yes.
You know. So it's more
We don't know.
keeping the options open.
Yes.
But still being able to say, wow, that's an incredible
Right, and
thing.
what you have said in the past. You
Oh, I
always
have?
You have, because
I'm repeating myself.
no, because I listen to the podcast that we
That's
put
right.
together and you don't.
And I don't.
And so I remember what
I
you
mean, I am going to have to listen. So
just
I'm not
one,
repeating
just pick
myself.
out one and listen, because
All
it's
right.
so good.
I listened to the first one.
That's the worst one. That's when we were just
Maybe that's why I don't listen. I was like, oh, what are we doing here?
but still, it is a lot of fun to talk about things.
That's cool, yeah.
Um,
And we have our own thoughts and beliefs recorded now, so we have to. That's an interesting thing to have.
Yeah, I actually was told by Justin, who is a member,
Long-time listener.
who's a long time, an original listener and a follower, I might add, who said this podcast changed his life, and he told me that he listened to episode 5, because these podcasts come out every Tuesday, and so he listened to the latest and greatest. And
Which was,
I think
what
it
was that
was
about?
role models, and he was,
we talked about role models?
who's
For a whole episode?
who's your
Oh.
role model?
Wow, okay.
People are going to doubt whether we are. If we don't remember what we talk about, holy cow! So, but it was, and he was upset that he wasn't mentioned as a role model. I said,
That's because we have a whole episode about him coming up.
"Oh, he'll be happy to hear that, because you're a workaholic. That's that's not the role model. Who wants to work all the time?"
Because he's the one actually working now while we're on our coffee break.
No question. He's holding it all together while we're having a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for making that possible.
Yes, thanks for doing this. So I'm. See, I knew this would happen, and
Well, actually, okay. So this quote that I have kind of goes along with this too. I can find a way to connect it.
Okay.
So we have this podcast that I'm proud of us for doing this. I think we had no idea what we were doing when we started, and we're learning as we go. And
Yes.
our lovely listeners get to listen to us as we grow. And there was this article in Vanity Fair that talked about John Batiste. I don't know if you know
sure,
the
he's a great musician.
Yeah, great musician. And they did a documentary about him and his wife and their journey, because she was very sick. And I believe is doing well now. But
he was on Colbert. He was the music director on Colbert for years.
Yes. And this quote, which I think was someone working on the documentary, was saying that when talking about their experience, together, and also the experience of making the documentary, he said things rarely go as planned, but when that happens, you have a choice. You can either crumble in defeat or create something unexpected and beautiful. And I thought that was a very poignant way of talking about how you handle different challenges in life. And this podcast was something that we didn't know we were doing, and it's unexpected, and we're embracing it.
You just so Justin asked me to ask you this question.
Me?
Because I
Okay.
called him this morning, and I said,
Oh, did you tell him what we were talking about? Or?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I did. I said there's sayings, and I said, but I also wanted to ask what your concept was for asking personal questions of each other, so that the listening audience, instead of hearing our take on a rom-com, would find out more about Mary and Jeff. So I said that was the concept, and I said, but you get into some weird stuff if you ask personal questions, and nobody's going to be more offended than Jeff and Mary in asking the question. So he says, no, you got it wrong. He says, you got to ask Mary this question.
Okay.
And the question would be, if you had a full day to yourself, where you weren't required to be anywhere. The kids, Ryan was taken care of, they're doing their thing. You just have a full day to yourself.
Yeah.
No worries. What would you do on that day?
And I'm here.
You have one day.
Just my regular life.
You can't jump on a plane because then the
Right,
day is
right.
over when you get there.
Yeah. No, I'm just considering the
Right.
circumstance.
You,
and I could do anything.
well, you curl up with you're very intellectual, and I could see, which is very cool. You know, to have what you have and also be intellectual is very cool. And
Thank you.
curling up with a book and reading is just.
Sure, I love that. But I mean, I would probably spend at least part of the day out in nature at the beach. I love the beach. So
Just walk along the beach.
yeah, I mean, I would go to the beach. Yeah, I mean, I can walk to a small beach from my house, which
Yeah.
is very nice. So I would like to do that. But I also rarely get to go into the city, which I enjoy too. So that would be a nice thing.
Just walking
to
along
just kind of go,
Madison.
do your own thing, see what happens, go through the park, go to a store, grab some good food,
Right.
something like that.
And then before you know it, it's over.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Time goes very quickly when it's just your own.
Well, that's what Justin likes to do. He thinks the city is amazing, so he loves to walk through New York City.
Yeah, and not even just New York City. I mean, if I just have a day here, then I could only really
Do
get
that.
to New York City to have enough time. But I like
But you
exploring
wouldn't-
other cities too.
But that's like getting into the culture of a town, whether it's a big town like New York or you wouldn't go to Smith Haven Mall and
No, I don't think I'd go to the mall.
No, that's so weird. You know, seeing you just, hey, what are you
Just going.
what are you
chilling.
doing here? Well, I'm just looking at.
I mean, I don't mind a mall trip, but it's not. It wouldn't be my top of mind first thing to
right.
do. But no, I could bop around the island too. You know, you go to the beaches here. You can go to cute little towns and stuff.
Well, I think that's wonderful. But I don't think it's so unusual. Like Justin
I
thinks.
feel like that's a common answer. I don't think I would do anything.
But is
I
it,
mean, you know, I used to figure skate, and I do miss that in my life as like an activity.
and you can't do it because your ankles are gimped?
No, no, I can still do it. I just haven't. I
you-
would just have to plan to do that.
So everything's getting so much warmer because of climate change.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're still going to put up an ice skating rink
Oh,
here.
because they do the outdoor one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
We're
I mean,
just-
there are indoor ones locally too. But yeah, doing it outdoors is fun.
So just skating.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing.
Does
I mean, I
Ryan
guess I used
skate?
to do it when I
He
was
must
young.
skate.
He can, yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't in a while either.
And you have skates.
I do have skates, yeah. Yeah, that was just something I did when I was young, and it
Figure-
became like a
Like
enjoyable,
Yeah.
stress-free thing to do.
we used to do that on ponds when it was colder more often, and
Yeah.
just skate on ponds. Berkeley's Pond on Convent Road in Syosset had a big pond, and it froze. And then also by the church in Cold Spring Harbor, when that freezes, people go out there and skate. But now it's warmer, and you just
You gotta go and skate indoors.
well, yeah. Or
Yeah. I guess the other thing I would do is I love all different kinds of music, and I love going to concerts. So if I could happen to go to a concert on my free day, that would be great.
how about that? What favorite kind of music?
I mean, I listen to a lot of indie alternative rock stuff, but
But a group?
I'm open to all different
You're open
things.
to all things.
Yeah.
You'll listen and enjoy it, even if it's not something
Yeah,
you
I think live
regularly-
music is a very incredible human experience.
But not, yes, but not the run of the, I shouldn't say run of the mill, they're like Sting or Billy Joel or Led Zeppelin. You could appreciate those groups or
Yeah, I mean, if I'm seeing them live, I think that
But
that's
it's
a cool
live.
experience. Yeah, I think there's something about being at a concert and being part of that experience.
Taylor Swift, would you?
Oh, I'd totally go see Taylor.
I would too.
Yeah.
But is she on tour now or did it end?
No, it's still going.
It's still Eras?
Yeah.
That's
I think she's towards the end of it though.
Did she get involved in the election? Did she say go vote for
She
this?
did, yeah.
She did.
She did.
Okay, so we know who she wants to vote for.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Okay, let's not go down that hole. But,
Hard not to.
but that's a good, that's, for anybody that wants that person to be in office, that's a good thing for her support.
Yeah.
Millions of people that follow her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that should do it. But no.
You never know.
You
right?
never
You
know.
never know. No guarantees.
What was Denise's thing?
Oh, yes.
What was her line?
One of our colleagues had a fantastic line yesterday that she is nauseously optimistic about how things will turn out.
Nauseously.
I love that.
That is really right on the mark.
That's the feeling, yes. Yes. So
Well,
yeah, any more?
I don't have any more, but
quotes or
what
sayings?
this is a little bit of an apology to the listening audience, because we came into this and we can't really just tick off all these proverbs and sayings and say, "Isn't this great?"
But it's our break, and we're just
So we're trying some new things,
seeing
but
what happens.
the next podcast
Mm-hmm.
will blow you all away. All right, if
And I can end with this quote because it feels fitting. From a random article that I screenshotted, and it says, "Hope is a discipline. We must practice it daily." So let's hope our next podcast is a good one.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's hope. All right, that's a wrap.